You guys did really well in your paintings. I like the specular light. You guys had gradient, shading. It worked out really well. So now you know the basics of painting enough to be able to go forward into composition. Now, when doing a composition, you start out, and that's how you guys are going to start, is you're going to present me with some form of sketches. So these are called thumbnails right here. This is how you start. This is sort of a sketch for you when you're coming up with your idea. And they call them thumbnails because there's really no bigger than a thumb. You would have your sketches. Sketches are final pieces that's just before you're going to go into the painting. The sketch turns into the painting. So there was an original sketch for a lot of these pieces that then turned into the paintings. The sketch has a lot more detail because you're trying to give yourself information. You're sort of talking to yourself for that final piece. So imagine that ball piece we did. Imagine if you did a sketch. So you would have all those details about specular light and where you wanted it dark already on the sketch. So you wouldn't have to guess about those things. Here we have a final sketch. I can tell that they had an idea for doing a design around the edge, but they decided not to go with the design around the edge and just went with the piece itself. So you can actually change things about your sketch. It's not too late to change things until you get to the painting. There's another type of sketching, especially when you're going to be painting in color, and that is color sketches. Blending your colors so that you know when to blend again and what colors you were using and in what increments in order to get that color again. So one of the hardest things, especially if you're doing things like flesh tone, you're going to have to note how many drops you used to get that specific tone. Anybody have any questions about sketching? Any questions at all? No?
What if you have trouble going from a thumbnail into a main sketch?
That would be basically making it larger from the thumbnail. And that can cause some difficulty, especially when you're dealing with measurement and size. One of the things I try to do with the thumbnail is make sure that it has the same dimensions as the larger piece of paper so that I can just match up those particular areas. And that would help me blow the image up.
Say it.
Can I meet you in the middle? Because you want my light to be on the right side. Is it possible I could put it right here in the middle?
Oh yeah.
Going down, hitting this.
Right across here where you have your line. Yeah. That would work perfectly.
All right, thank you.
All right, good job. So this is how you would emphasize a shadow when you have a thin object. Is you'd have a shadow. So that means your light source is right over here in the corner.
Okay, so my shadow needs to be like right here.
Yep. So that's exactly where you would put your shadow on your piece.
And then like one right there.
Yep. So your light source is really outside the page, right here.
So here's my sketches right here. You can see the light, the shadow, all the information I would need so that when I paint it on the canvas, I have my shadow, my light, even my specular light with a bounce off of different light. So I have my notes and I have my painting. And then of course you would use something like this guy right here, and then you just match up on four corners and it would match up. So, a lot of you got specular light, shadow, gradient, and backdrop. So excellent work. Anyway, sketches. They almost look like comic books. You just kind of put down an idea and you just do a thumbnail sketch. So with the paper you got over here, you should be able to at least think about where you want to put your characters or objects or features or anything you want to draw. And then you can get a sketch idea off of that. Final sketches are your detailed sketch. They're exactly the dimensions of the painting you're going to be doing. So once you have a final sketch, you can use the final sketch to go towards the final painting, which would be at least close to or facsimile of your sketch. So today we'll get to the thumbnails and just a sketch idea. So try to get an idea to me at least between today and tomorrow so we can have a canvas for each of you by the end of the week. Okay? Principle of composition. This is the hidden geometry. Remember when we were talking about pattern and geometry? The Italians did the amazing thing that created the Renaissance. They took all the support that was drawn on the page to make all that geometry that you saw in mosques and churches, and they put it in the background for objects. That was one of the great key moments. So this is called the rule of thirds. This is the most basic form of composition. A breakdown of the rule of thirds is that 41% of viewers will look here first, especially in the West. We read from left to right, right? Called golden or harmonious triangle. Golden triangle is actually the standard for television and movies. They will literally have a person out there with a golden triangle placard just before the director comes and sets the scene. He will use that placard to put everyone in the scene, and that's where you get all the cool shots in the movies. Is he's using golden or harmonious triangle to track everyone in the film. Here you can see there's a couple right here. Here's a ridge down this way. And that is basically how golden triangle would work. Here we can, it's easier to see on these still lifes from the top where you have objects that are hitting this line. You got two objects on the transects. And then over here, you have another object in the corner. Here we have dynamic symmetry. This is one of the big ones from the Renaissance as well. Dynamic symmetry is also used in cinema, especially for action scenes and things like that where you have a lot of three-dimensional space.
Yeah, it looks like you're doing something.
Sorry, there's a couple of spots that probably went over a little bit, my bad.
That's okay. Get this. Here. Yeah, we read left to right. So if I was going to, the part that I want my image to be seen the most, I want it to hit the top left, right there. Yeah. So that would be the feature I want seen the most. All right.
That's not, I don't know.
So now that we have our dynamic symmetry here, and you got the image that you want to use, if you put him right here, and then his torso would be in this area, and you can even have like one arm down here or one arm up this way or down that way. Basically, you would use the symmetry to advise your character. Yeah, if that's your object.
Wait.
Or three exactly. So what you can do, so we're thinking the wheels right here, right? Okay, so we have this baby carriage wheel. Right? And we probably have our axle right here. And then over here we can go across, that's the top of the baby carriage. And then over here you'd have that part that goes up.
Okay.
Right? And then you have the carriage part and so on.
Oh, so we got a problem here.
Invite you. So if we have a vase, so we got the vase right here, we can draw that vase right in here, and it would hit these two areas right there.
Oh.
See?